Will you please stand and read the gospel? The Holy Gospel according to Matthew, 13th chapter, beginning with the 44th verse. 8 years ago, I couldn't stop to do this same message. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field which someone found and hid. And then in his joy, he goes and he sells all that he has and he buys that field. And again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. And on finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that has thrown into the sea and caught fish of every kind. And when it was full, they drew it ashore. And they sat down and they put the good into baskets, but they threw out the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and they'll separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the furnace of fire. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all of them? They asked me. Yeah. And he said to them, therefore, every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like the master of a household who brings out of his treasure what is new and what is old. When Jesus had finished these parables, he knelt down. This is the word of God and the people of God. Thanks be to God. It was June 29th, 2008. I stood here on the first Sunday at Perdido Bank. I remember the anticipation, the excitement in my legs. I can remember the lump in my throat. I can remember the sense of awe and wonder that was coming into my imagination. And I remember David Howland, who was at the time our chair of our staff parish relations committee. He stood up and said something to the effect of, hold on. He's coming, he's here, we've been on a bit of a roller coaster, but he's here, and I talked to him a little bit, and I think you're going to like him, and you just need to understand he wears bow ties. Like, that was it. That was the intro. He wears bow ties, and there are some of you even here, he says, who are wearing bow ties in honor of this occasion, and that in itself is a leap of faith, because we don't know what these next 2 years are going to bring. Here we are together, and I can see some of the gentlemen wearing bow ties. That wasn't the only peculiarity of the last 8 years, for sure. But I remember in that moment counting down the seconds until I would be able to stand before you with the kind of energy and anticipation that I had longed for, and was ready to just pop, sitting there in my chair, the excitement and wonder. And I knew that the congregation had been through so much, and realizing that you were coming to the end of this era with this beloved founding pastor, the shepherd who had supplied your needs for so many years in Jack Desjardins. And I could see the fear and the trepidation on your face. And then David went ahead and dropped the bomb on all of you and said, oh, and by the way, he's 31. So don't ask. Right? Let's just go and get it out there. Let's take that bullet. Let's just go ahead and bite it. And he's 31. And I could hear this, the air got out of the room. The sense of fear and collective trepidation that came with that truth. I read this passage, the opening passage there, this parable from Jesus in the Holy Gospel according to Matthew, where Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure that gets found in the field. There's these two people. One of them is this guy who's working the plow. And he's just going about his business. He's just doing the work. He never knew what to expect. He really didn't expect much of anything. But lo and behold, one day that plow just digs into something hard, and it intrigues him enough that he wants to stop what he's doing and dig just a little deeper. And when he takes time to dig just a little deeper, he marvels at the very thing that he has found in that life. He didn't expect much. Oh, behold. So the kingdom of heaven is also like a merchant who was actually looking for something. And when he found it, both the man with the plow and both the man with the merchant took everything they had and they sold it. And they said, nothing nothing that I've ever done or ever been a part of or ever known has ever been as valuable as the opportunity to be a part of this treasure. I stood before you on that first morning and I said, friends, here's what I need you to know. I'm buying this. That's what I said. I'm buying it. And there has been no greater decision in my life. They've made a proposal to Christy McCrumb. There's been any better decision in my life than to move ahead with forcefulness and joy and foolishness and just boldness and recklessness into the single-mindedness of that kind of commitment and decision. And with every day that I've been here, with triumphs and sorrows and mistakes and valleys and peace and wonderment and all the rest, I've never regretted not once the joy of finding this and being a part of this place. Not knowing how long I would ever get to stay. But I love the portrayal of that plow. The man working the plow, because it says that he hits it and he finds it and immediately hides it and tries to cover it up because he doesn't want anybody else to know what the thing is. He says, oh my God! And he holds on to it, right? The kingdom of God is like that. He says, but when you find a treasure like that, you sell everything you have. You go. And you claim it. Not as your possession, but having searched it, now secure it for yourself and work at it. That's been one of the smartest, most gracious things God has ever allowed me to do. You all have changed my life in the process. I wish then that I had done what I've done now, which is to read a little further in Matthew's gospel, not just to settle for the 3 verses that show up, but to read the next parable that comes in that, because the next parable that Jesus offers us in this stack of 3 very short passages is a parable about this net. He says the kingdom of God is like a net. And if you keep lowering down the net, chances are you're going to catch all sorts of things. And when you do, he said, then they brought it up to shore. And immediately they began this process of sifting and sorting and separating, taking the good fish from the bad. And it's interesting the way that Matthew presents it, as if there's such thing as a rotten fish. Right? The same word he uses for good fish is the same word he uses, Jesus talks about in using fruit. The good fruit, the bad fruit. You've got to separate the good fruit from the bad fruit. This is a big theme for Matthew, right? This sifting and sorting. For those who are of the good fruit, they get it into one basket, and that is the bad fruit. Well, there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. We all know about that in our experiences as well. Jesus talks in Matthew about fish the same way that he talks about fruit, which means we don't want to press the parable too much, because I've never known a fish that was rotten from the minute you pulled it up out of the waters. But there's a great lesson, 2 great lessons, and one of which I think is something that your staff learned, maybe somewhere along the way. And those of you who have worked closely in thinking about programming and building and breathing life into this congregation, those who have made their investments and continue to give with their time and help serve, those of you who have labored down at the Redemption Store, 3350 Hunger, or the Global Learning Academy, or some of the many things that have taken place over the last 8 years, you've come to realize that when you lay down that net, when you put yourself out there, you just never know what you're going to catch, right? I mean, anybody who's ever sifted through the inventory at the Redemption Store can tell you this, right? And folks like Connie Hoffman and Senator Hoffman say, well, you can't look, this Connie would always say, you can't look the gift horse in the mouth, which is his nice way of saying, you got to take that crap. Right? And I'm going, Connie, yes, you can. If it's gonna break your back, moving it out of their house, and you can't sell it anyway, I think we can do something else with that net. He's like, no. Because Jesus says, when you put down that net, you catch all kinds of food. And I think about all the fish that are sitting here today. And I'm thinking about what a tragedy it would be if our God somehow decided which ones were good and which ones were bad, or that he thought that we were somehow worthy to make these decisions, or that the pastor or whoever the fisherman may be, that they would somehow say, yeah, this is a good one, this is a bad one. I'm so glad that's what my favorite. And I'm so glad that this is the kind of place where we just put down the net, right? And whoever comes, comes. And all are welcome. And some stay for a long time, some stay for a short time, some we wish would stay forever, and some we wish would go soon. I mean, that's true of every congregation. Let's not pretend that it's otherwise. It's true of every family. It's true of every community. And yet Jesus continues to call the church to be a place where there's a net, and at some point the Holy Spirit will sort it out. The things that need to move on, the things that need to continue, the things that will grow in the Holy Spirit will work. And they'll do so. And those things that lose momentum, or those things that suffer from a lack of passion, or even a lack of direction or attention, they will subside, and that's probably okay. Because the Spirit of God is not done. And He's not done with His people. And sometimes the things that we try didn't always work great, but we learned something. And we created an environment of grace, a place obsessed with the grace of God that says, hey, you're going to blow it here. You're going to make mistakes here. You're going to miss a few. You're going to even disappoint your neighbor. That's okay. Because we're going to plan for that. For confession, pardon, repentance, forgiveness. And when our theology of community comes into concert with the way in which we seek to share the love of Jesus and the way in which we act with one another, well, then it becomes the kind of place where we can tell the truth about ourselves in the presence of the Holy God and do that without shame, fear, or condemnation. You know what Jesus says about that? The kingdom of heaven is like such a place. You all, long before I got here, were a treasure in this field. I have done nothing more than I enjoy the privilege of having one hand on the plow. With so many others who want to explain. This is the second point I want to make about this little parable of the net. Because of what I think is the most important word in the entire story. It says that when it was full, they threw it ashore. Okay? When it was full, they threw it ashore. That they is the most important thing I've ever learned. You can't fish alone. You got to have somebody with a boat, somebody grabbing hooks out of mouth, somebody keeping children from untangling stuff. You know, it doesn't have to work around your stuff. You can't fish alone. And insofar as this church has become they, and more I would say we, or all together now, or as my friend Mr. Bonhoeffer likes to say, life together, existing as Christ in community with one another. Whenever there was a they, the kingdom of God broke loose. Whenever we sat and maybe beat our head up against the wall with just a few here and there, or had to stand up week after week and beg for volunteers, or whatever that case may have been, whenever that they was somehow varnished or tarnished in some unfathomable way, I was digging through sorting through, right? That's what the parable is about. I was sifting and sorting. I pulled this out of my desk drawer this morning. I'm going to hand it to Daphne. Whitney, I know she has about 18 copies of it. But this is some years ago, the first great day of service we ever did. And there's all these little babies. There's a couple Whitney girls in there. Scrunched, they were tiny little people. Tiny little people. Scrunched away, pulling out weeds. Pulling the weeds out of the Perdido Kids Park. See, I can't turn down that microphone by myself. I need a beg. And by the way, it's going to take a day and we to replace all of these cords very, very soon. So when that campaign ramps up, I just need you to remember that week. Okay? Go ahead and get your checkbooks ready. You don't want new guy. He doesn't have as many jokes about microphones as I do. I've developed them over the years. Okay? So let's help that. Ready for that campaign. There's a bunch of we and a bunch of they in that little picture, and whenever we taught our children how to be community, whenever we walked hand in hand and taught them how to how to strengthen, and how to serve. Whenever we did that as a they and a we were always at our best, and we saw God move mountains in this life. I'll never forget that, because I've heard the stories time after time after time. You guys realize how many pastors get credit for things that they do nothing, or they have nothing to do with. Oh, I get it all the time. You know, I get credit, you helped us with the bill the other day that we never could have made. I remember sitting with Alan Lethbridge. You remember Alan? He was one of those who were caught in the net. Didn't know how he did that. Wasn't really sure where that came from. I remember the days that Alan, who those of you who don't know Alan was in a transient, was homeless before us. He came to our fellowship. He had massive addiction issues that continued to be a force in his life. This church, Ted Beamer being a place to live. The prayer shawl ladies gave him a place to knit the way his grandmother had taught him to do. It was he lived as an odd duck in that room. It was beautiful. And he found a way in the community and in our life. And he didn't always make every great choice, right? He wasn't always, God writes straight with crooked lines. That's what we learned about Jacob. But that man, I'll never forget the day he came up to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to give Pastor Jack my kidney. What do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Alan, get tested." You and 15,000 others who are praying fervently and desperately to try to find an answer to this conundrum. And I looked, I believed, and I said, "Is this God? I'm so happy." But I'm the Lord. There was nothing that made sense about that man having a kidney halfway to the earth beyond. God did that in this play. I'm thinking about Tony Klein this morning. Right? I mean, Tony and his bride, I married him. It was one of the first weddings I did in the sanctuary. They lived and they beat down Winnebago in the property across the street by the skate park for like a year and a half. And I'd only been here like 6 months. And not one person asked me, "What is up with the piece of junk Winnebago across the street from the church?" Not one person asked me that question. That's when I knew. John, and my wife, and little by little, one of those times. There's something more fish out there, man. And we'll continue, if you will continue to put down that, and when that thing is full, if everybody, and I mean everybody, will come and grab a part of that thing and drag it onto shore, you'll have time to sort it out. Right? Sometimes things get messy. Sometimes things don't really work. Some things tend to take off, and then they really take off. But whether it's pushing to the water, whether it's redemption score, whether it's a whole global learning academy, we can go on and on and on. This is what we do. We just put down the net, and then we come back later and we go, "Okay, if I was going to do that all over again, here's probably the 5 things I'd have done a little differently, but I can't wait to try again." And to have a place where the Great Commission finds the Great Permission, which is to say, just give it a try. To live in that kind of environment is my joy, my pleasure, and my treasure here at the United Ministry. And he tells one more story. Jesus then says to them, "Have you understood all this?" The disciples said yes. And the degree to which that is yes is the one that makes all the difference. But he says, every scribe, by that he means the disciples, by that he means all of you, whether you have a pen in your pocket or not, every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven. And that's you, by the way. We call them trained. The kingdom of heaven. Every scribe is like the master of the household who brings out of his treasure what is new and what is old. And that is to say that some of the things we did over the last 8 years are great. We want to hold on to them and build upon them. And as I was also cleaning up the office this week, I found some drafts and some sketches and some half-baked ideas stashed away in a folder. And I even showed a couple of them to Karen. I said, these are the ones that I'm glad never saw the light of day. And these are the ones that maybe saw the light of day, and I hope that they don't. And then I've also got this stack of files that I'm leaving on David Saliba's desk. It says, I don't have all this figured out, but there's something here. Right? There's a picture here of a more desired future. And a vision for what I think God continues to do in this place. And I know that the Lord God has sent David and Elizabeth Saliba and their young son Joseph to come continuing to fill with their own gifts and their graces, their own adoration, their own service, their own commitment as one who's willing to sell all that he has and to buy this field. And for my friend, the person who also bought my house. Man, that show you something. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that. He did. Oh, God. Right? In the midst, I was also sifting through the old and the new. And that is your responsibility. Leaders, whether it's our committees, whether it's our volunteers, whether it's lay servants, everywhere, staff, everybody. That's your responsibility. That's the charge I leave you with from now. It's to sift through the old, sift through the new. There's going to be moments where you look at the wall and go, God, I wish Darren had done more with this. Or, geez, I wish Darren would have, never mentioned this. Or, this was a rabbit trail that we should have never taken. Whatever it is. These are not my ideas, right? Sift through it. Sort it out. See what's good. See what holds. See what stays in that man. See what's taken you. Pull out what's old. Go with it. But also be good with what you know. Spirit of God, when you call you to be the kind of provider you need. We have an example of the old that I want to share with you. This is a few words from June 29, 2008. Whispering in their ears. It's like an ordinary fool who was out working the field one day and stumbled upon a treasure. He didn't plan it, he didn't build it, he didn't earn it. And yet there it is. Some things, but they never quite measured up to what he knew could be possible. And so he was looking and he was searching, and one day he stumbled upon that pearl. That pearl of great value, and he knew when he saw it that nothing else would compare. And so he sold everything else he had, and he bought it. And he bought it. It occurs to me in these parables, friends, that perhaps what Jesus is saying to those who will hear is that he's teaching us and preparing us for an incredible transition, an incredible change, inviting us to something totally, radically, absurdly new, made available to you and I only by his grace and by his love. But he says, in order to be prepared for the kind of change that is going to come, he says, then you disciples, he says, are going to have to pay particular attention and to discern the true value of the options that are before you. You've got to look at the horizon and see what it is that you're stumbling upon and not miss it. You've got to take the effort to decide what is worth your life, your investment, your all. He said, and when you find it, when you find that thing of great value, then you take it. You sell everything you've got and you buy it. And you run with it for all that you're worth. I think back to KJ, and he says, this is a place that speaks to me, and I give to it everything I am, everything I have, and everything I hope to be. Because it is that thing of great value. And Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like that. So he's inviting us to something new. And he says, when you do that, when you stub your toe on that great treasure, and you look down and say, Lord, behold, oh my, didn't expect that. When you find it, when you take hold of it, when you put your trust in it, it has a way of reorganizing your entire life. And suddenly all those things that you thought were so very precious begin to matter nothing. That farmer,
That merchant says they were changed forever. They were never the same again. And I suspect, friends, that they and those who were around them who were watching this little thing were amazingly surprised, despite all that they had been through. Hear me now. Amazingly surprised, despite all that they had been through, of their own decision to move forward. And yet, out of that anticipation and out of that hope, it says, and this, do not miss this in the verse, it's so great. They sold it, they bought it, and they did so in their joy. In their joy, he says. They grew. Now, that farmer, that merchant, they lost something, didn't they? They lost something. But they gained something too. And I find, friends, that this may in fact be the very key to discipleship in Jesus Christ. It's this. In that parable, Jesus says, the kingdom comes. The transformation happens. Salvation is realized. When they understand that what was being given to them, that is the opportunity that was before them, what was being given to them was far greater than that which was being asked. You hear me? What is being given to you today? What is being given to me today? What is being given to us today? The power of the Holy Spirit is far greater than that which is being asked of us. So we plow along, and we stumble along, and we say, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I think what God is up to in this place is worth it. And I think this flow, have this flow, experience what God for you. And I do not pretend to know what it is. The word is always been with you. Lord, thank you. Because that's for the ways in which you have shaped and loved my family. When I come home after a long day, and I realize that Max McClellan is sitting in his bed reciting the Lord's Prayer. And I know it never occurred to me to actually teach that to him. I know that you heard it from you. And my children are reciting the Apostles' Creed, word for word. I know that you learned that. They learn that from you. They learn that by sitting next to you and listening to the strength of your conviction and power of your purpose. And when my life is blessed beyond measure in ways that I know I do not deserve, I know that there's some group of faithful saints who gather on Tuesday morning, or maybe even in their own homes on their occasions, lift up their pastor in prayer every single day. And I have not been worthy of such gifts. But I have been changed. And I am thankful. And I'm glad that I'm just, but I need you to continue to be who you are. I need you to continue to find ways to welcome and to lay down that net and receive the lead of this battalion to trust that it is, in fact, within God's hands and within God's reach to continue to lead this place just as Mr. Jesus would want. This is his church. And he is the one who has declared to you and to me that by his grace we are truly treasures. And what a treasure that is. And the relationships and the love and fellowship. I can't point to a single message, a single Bible study that I will consider with great joy every single relationship that has shaped and touched my life. And I'm thankful that we have permission and grace to continue those with love. He's called us higher. He's called us deeper. And we will go. You are a beloved people. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for the gifts of grace and for the options that are before us that have always been there. To learn and to listen to you, to listen for the sound of your voice, and to come with pure joy and thanksgiving for the ways in which we've been blessed and for the relationships that are established. Lord, I thank you for the honor of this big company. And I thank you for those saints who have gone before us, who have been so much a part of our development and our dignity and our fall. I thank you for those leaders who have taught me so many lessons. I thank you for the men and women who are active and retired military, or our veterans, Lord, who have shaped our life in such tremendous ways and who have helped to bear our griefs together, even in this season of loss for them. Lord, we thank you for the dignity and the response of those who die. So we continue, God, to ask for your grace. There's nothing more to say than thank you. As we prepare to come to your table, so let us come in spirit of openness, realizing that we were all brought in by your net. And we find our place in this community by the strength of your love and the power of your grace. So in the name of Jesus Christ, who calls us together, he teaches us these things. Of Christ, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. As you have nurtured our lives, continue to feed us for the journey and what a journey it has been. Your love.